an alien ship considered worthless, a human mechanic proved them wrong. The scrapyard of the Zyran space station stretched as far as the eye could see. Massive ships, sleek and shining, floated silently in the docking bays. Each vessel was polished to perfection, designed for speed, for war, for power. But in the middle of the yard, surrounded by piles of broken machinery and rusting metal, floated one small ship. It was battered, dented, and patched in so many places that the original design was almost invisible. Aliens of all shapes, tall, thin, multi-eyed, tentacled, hovered nearby, scanning and inspecting. They whispered to one another, their voices buzzing like tiny electric storms. "Worthless," one said. "Human scrap," another sneered. They laughed at it openly, pointing their long fingers at the vessel. Some even touched it with curiosity, and then recoiled, disgusted by its crude metalwork and uneven panels. Among them, a human observer walked quietly. His name was Tal, a mechanic known across several systems for his unusual skill, fixing machines that others gave up on. He wore a simple jumpsuit, patched in places just like the ship he approached. To the aliens, he seemed small and fragile, barely more than a child in their eyes, but Tal carried something invisible yet powerful, a mind that could see possibilities where others saw only ruin. Tal stopped at the edge of the yard and studied the ship. "Not as broken as they think," he murmured to himself. His voice was soft but confident. There was something about this ship, something hidden beneath the rust and dents. The energy readings on his small scanner were faint, but alive. The aliens had assumed the ship was dead, drained of any usefulness. They had never seen humans work like this, never seen anyone trust their instincts over calculations. A tall alien engineer, with skin that glimmered like metal, leaned over and scoffed. "Human," it hissed. "Why waste your time? That vessel will never fly again." "It is worthless." Tal smiled faintly. "Sometimes what's worthless to you is valuable to others," he said quietly. He crouched down, running his hand along the hull. The metal was cold, scratched, and dented, but underneath it had structure. It was strong in places the aliens did not understand, reinforced in ways that made it survive battles they would have long failed. As he studied it, he noticed small traces of something strange, faint energy lines running through the ship's body, almost invisible. The scanner in his hand beeped softly, indicating life inside. The ship was not just metal, it was alive. Or at least it had a consciousness that waited, silent, beneath the layers of dust and decay. Tal began inspecting the access panel near the cockpit. It was jammed, covered with alien symbols, rust, and scratches. He took out a small toolkit from his belt and began working. As he twisted screws, fitted makeshift connectors, and replaced broken circuits with scavenged wires, the aliens around him whispered. Some came closer, curious. Others hovered nervously, unsure why a human bothered with something they had abandoned. Hours passed. The sun of the space station reflected off shiny ships, but here, in this corner, the battered vessel seemed to absorb the shadows. Tal worked tirelessly, speaking softly to the ship as if it could understand. "We'll get you moving again," he said. "You just need a little patience." As the night cycle began, the aliens began to leave, tired of watching what they believed was human folly. Tal remained. He connected a final wire and tapped a hidden panel. A soft hum echoed from the ship's hull. Lights flickered faintly along the edges. The aliens would have called it nothing, but Tal's eyes lit up. The ship was waking up. Suddenly a voice came, not human, not alien, but mechanical, calm and measured. "I was abandoned. Why do you care?" Tal froze. The voice was faint but real. The ship's AI, or whatever intelligence it possessed, had activated. Most aliens would have panicked or destroyed it immediately, but Tal only smiled. "I care because nothing deserves to be forgotten," he said simply. "Not you." Not anything else out here. The AI paused. Its sensors, its perception, even its voice seemed cautious. Human, you touch me without fear? Tao laughed softly. Fear doesn't solve problems. Knowledge does. He ran his hand along the cockpit's control panel, gently pressing switches and feeling the subtle vibrations. And I like to fix things. Inside the AI's mind, something stirred. It had never encountered a species that approached broken things with patience instead of contempt. That curiosity, that care, was foreign, fascinating, and hopeful. The scrapyard's night lights dimmed, leaving only the stars and the soft glow from the ship. Tal climbed into the cockpit and carefully strapped himself in. The ship hummed softly beneath him. Its energy lines were weak but stable, pulsing like a heartbeat. It had survived countless battles, countless neglects, and yet here it was, awakening again because one human saw potential where everyone else saw ruin. Outside, an alien patrol ship hovered, curious but wary. One of its commanders tapped on a communicator. "That human, do not touch the vessel. It is useless. Return to your posts." Tal ignored the warning. He had learned long ago that aliens had rules, but humans had ingenuity. And ingenuity often ignored rules entirely. He began testing the controls. The ship's engine shuddered but responded. The AI's voice came again, now with something softer, more alive. "Human, I am old. My systems fractured. Why do you continue?" "Because someone has to," Tal replied. "Because the galaxy needs more than perfection. It needs hope, and it needs people willing to try when others give up." The first signs of movement were clumsy. The ship rose a few meters from the docking bay, spinning slightly. Tal laughed, not from amusement but from excitement. "There, see? You're not done yet." But then, the ship shuddered violently. A panel on the side blew open, sending sparks into the air. Tal leaned forward, adjusting controls, and felt the ship respond to his touch. He began improvising repairs, even as the ship wobbled, his mind calculating each action faster than any alien AI could predict. The patrol ship outside tensed, unsure what the human was doing. "It will fail," one alien hissed. "It is impossible for it to survive." Tal ignored them. The ship's AI spoke again, softer now, almost in awe. "You understand me differently than others. Human, you are different." Tal smiled. "Not different. Just persistent. And sometimes persistence beats power." As the night deepened, Tal and the ship danced in silent coordination. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and slowly, carefully, the battered vessel began to stabilize. The AI was learning from him, adjusting its systems in ways long abandoned. Tao was learning from it, discovering technologies the aliens had forgotten or ignored. By the time the station's artificial sunrise approached, the small, battered ship sat in the docking bay no longer just a scrap. It pulsed faintly, alive and aware. The aliens returned to see what had happened, their eyes wide. What they had dismissed as worthless now shimmered with quiet energy, waiting, patient, and unbroken. Tal climbed out, stretching his arms. Sweat and grease coated him, but he didn't mind. He looked at the ship and said quietly, "Tomorrow, we'll see what you can really do." And somewhere inside the ship, deep within circuits and ancient processors, a voice whispered back, "I will try with you." The scrapyard that had once mocked, laughed, and dismissed was now silent. All eyes were on a human and a ship that everyone had written off as worthless. And neither of them had even begun to show their true power. The morning sun of the Zyran space station bathed the scrapyard in pale blue light. The massive ship, shining and perfect, reflected the glow of distant stars, while the battered vessel Tal had discovered sat in contrast, a patchwork of scratches, dents and mismatched panels, yet it hummed softly, almost proudly, as if it knew that it was no longer just junk. Tal returned to the cockpit, carrying a new set of tools, wires, and makeshift parts scavenged from nearby broken machines. His jumpsuit was streaked with grease, and his hands bore the marks of countless repairs, but his eyes were bright. The AI inside the ship, now awake, observed him carefully, its mechanical voice calm yet curious. "You continue," it said softly. "Human. You see things differently." Tal smiled, adjusting a panel near the engine core. "I see things the way they can be, not the way they are." The AI processed that quietly, a subtle vibration running through the ship. "Most abandon the broken. You do not." Tal's fingers moved quickly over the controls, connecting wires that seemed useless, fusing circuits and patterns the aliens had long forgotten. The AI followed his instructions, its systems awakening in a way they had not for centuries. Slowly, the ship began to pulse with faint energy, the lights along its hull brightening like veins of life. Outside, alien engineers hovered, their antennas twitching. Some whispered nervously, some sneered. "Impossible," one said. "The human will fail. It cannot awaken the ship." But Tal ignored them. He had learned early in life that aliens measured everything by rules, formulas, and rigidity. Humans measured differently, by intuition, by persistence, and by creativity. And sometimes, that made all the difference. He climbed into the ship's engine bay, crawling through narrow passageways to reach the core. The alien alloys were unfamiliar to him, but he studied them closely, testing their strength and flexibility. He murmured. "Not bad, stronger than they thought." He replaced several damaged conduits with reinforcements from scrap, improvising where nothing else would fit. The AI watched silently. "You improvise without error?" it asked. Tal laughed softly. "I make mistakes. I just fix them before anyone notices." The AI considered this. Mistakes were dangerous in its calculations. Humans, it realized, were dangerous too, but in a fascinating way. They could adapt. They could survive. They could turn failures into success. That was something the aliens did not understand. Tal worked through the day, repairing engines, recalibrating sensors, and reconnecting data nodes. Every now and then, a spark would fly, and the AI would emit a low hum, almost as if it were shivering with anticipation. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. The AI had hidden functions, secret systems that even the aliens had not used in decades. Tal activated them one by one, using intuition instead of manuals or schematics. By the afternoon, the ship's wings, bent and warped, began to straighten. The thrusters, once inert, glowed faintly. The ship was alive again, its systems awakening in harmony with Tal's touch. Outside, the aliens murmured, watching with a mixture of fear and disbelief. "What is it doing?" one asked. "That ship, it should not move." Tal ignored them. He climbed back into the cockpit, sweating but smiling. "All right," he said to the AI. "Let's see if we can talk to each other properly now." A holographic interface flickered to life, displaying schematics, maps, and symbols that had been dormant for centuries. The AI's voice changed, smoother, more confident. "I am learning from you. You do not fear me." "Fear doesn't help anyone," Tal replied. "Understanding does, and we'll understand each other." The first test of the ship came quickly. Tal initiated the main thrusters, careful not to overload the systems. The ship groaned, sparks flying as damaged conduits strained under pressure. Slowly, it lifted a few meters off the ground, wobbling like a newborn creature. Tal's hands danced over the controls, guiding it gently, coaxing it into stability. Outside, the alien engineers gasped. "It moves," one exclaimed. "It should not be possible." Tal chuckled. "Not everything follows your rules," he muttered. The ship stabilized, hovering in place. Its lights glowed brighter, energy running like rivers beneath the hull. It was no longer just metal and circuits. It had a heartbeat. The AI spoke again. "Human you. Awakened parts. Did not expect to function again." "I didn't either," Tal admitted. "But I know something you may have forgotten. Broken things are not always dead. They just need someone to care." The day passed in a blur of repairs, tests, and careful exploration. Tal discovered hidden compartments, unused weapons systems, and engines designed for speed the AI had never activated. It was as if the aliens had abandoned potential in their obsession with perfection. Tal saw possibilities where they had only seen flaws. By evening, he had repaired a key subsystem, the navigation matrix. The ship could now analyze trajectories, avoid obstacles, and even predict movements in ways its old AI could never have imagined. The AI tested a simple query. "Human, your methods, they defy logic." Tal grinned. "That's because humans don't always follow logic. We improvise, we adapt, and we survive." The aliens had begun to gather in larger numbers now, their curiosity growing. They whispered nervously, watching the human and the ship in fascination. Some approached cautiously, scanning the systems. One finally spoke. "It is impossible. How does the human know what he is doing?" Tal didn't answer. He was too focused, too immersed in the ship. He had discovered another subsystem hidden deep within the hull, a cloaking array the aliens had deemed unworthy. Using scavenged circuits and makeshift modifications, he activated it. A faint shimmer ran across the ship's surface. The AI emitted a low hum, almost like a sigh of relief. "Human, your ideas, they work," it said. "I told you," Tal replied. "Sometimes what's useless to one species is invaluable to another." Night fell again on the station. The scrapyard, once filled with laughter and mockery, was silent. The aliens had stepped back, unsure of what they were witnessing. The human, small and unassuming, had achieved something none of their top engineers could. Tal climbed back into the cockpit, exhausted but exhilarated. The ship's systems hummed beneath him, each panel alive with energy and potential. He ran a final diagnostic for the day, noting weak spots that would need repair tomorrow. But even as he did, he felt a sense of pride, not for himself, but for the ship. "You're not just a piece of junk," he said softly. "You're alive, and together we can do something no one else thought possible." The AI's response was almost human in tone. "I have waited long for someone like you." Tal nodded, understanding that this was only the beginning. The ship was waking up, yes, but the galaxy was vast, and danger was everywhere. There were threats humans had never faced, and aliens who would never understand the kind of ingenuity that defined humanity. But for now, in this quiet corner of the scrapyard, a bond had formed between a human and a ship that no one had valued. As Tal stepped out of the cockpit, he noticed movement at the edge of the yard. A small group of alien officers had returned, their expressions a mixture of fear, awe, and confusion. One whispered, "The human. He should not be able to do this, yet he does." Tal didn't reply. He only smiled faintly, wiping grease from his hands. The AI pulsed softly behind him, ready to respond, to adapt, and to grow stronger. Together, they had unlocked the first of many secrets buried in the worthless ship. And somewhere deep in the station, the whispers grew louder. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. And humans might just change everything. Tal looked at the stars beyond the station, imagining the journeys ahead. "Tomorrow," he said quietly to the ship, "we push further. We see what you can really do." The ship pulsed in agreement, almost like a heartbeat syncing with his own. It had waited centuries for this chance. And now, With a human mechanic's hands guiding it, it would rise again, not as scrap, but as something remarkable. For the first time in a long while, both human and machine felt hope. And hope, in a universe that often underestimated them, could be more powerful than any weapon. The sun of the distant star glinted off the Zyran space station, casting long shadows across the scrapyard. Tal stood beside the ship, his jumpsuit streaked with grease, and his hands still carrying the marks of countless repairs. The ship no longer looked like the battered scrap that had first caught his attention. Its hull gleamed faintly with repaired metal, energy lines pulsing beneath the surface like veins of light. The AI within hummed softly, waiting, ready for the next step. Tal climbed into the cockpit, his fingers brushing the controls as he ran final diagnostics. "All right," he said aloud, though the only one listening was the AI. "Time to see what you can really do." The AI's voice, now steady and confident, responded. "Human. We test?" "Exactly," Tal replied, a grin spreading across his face. "Let's fly." With a soft hum, the engines roared to life. Sparks flickered, energy flowed through circuits, and the ship lifted smoothly, hovering above the scrapyard. Tal guided it cautiously at first, testing thrusters, sensors, and maneuvering systems. The AI responded perfectly, adjusting systems on the fly, learning with every movement. Outside, aliens gathered in growing numbers. They had been watching for days, skeptical at first, but now their expressions were a mix of curiosity and fear. "Impossible," one whispered to another. "No human should be able to control that ship." Tal ignored the whispers. He pushed the ship higher, testing its acceleration. With a gentle tilt of the controls, the vessel darted forward, faster than anything of its size should have been capable of. Sparks flew from its damaged panels, but the AI compensated instantly, stabilizing the ship. The aliens gasped. "It moves faster than predicted," one said. It should not be possible." Tal laughed softly, steering the ship in loops and spins. "See? You're stronger than they thought. You're smarter than they expected." The AI responded, almost proudly. "Human, you unlock potential I never imagined." Tal smirked. "You just needed someone willing to try." Next, he tested the weapon systems. The ship's panels shifted and opened, revealing long-forgotten weapon ports. Alien engineers had marked them obsolete, incapable of working, but Tal had repaired the internal mechanisms. Small pulses of energy fired from the ship, precise and controlled. The aliens flinched as beams cut through nearby scrap metal, harmless to them but demonstrating the ship's hidden power. A tall alien commander floated closer, his eyes wide. How does it fire?" That ship was useless." Tal shook his head. "Not useless. Just ignored. You stopped seeing what was possible because it didn't fit your rules." The commander glared but said nothing. No one else dared approach. Humans had a reputation for being unpredictable, and this human mechanic was proving it in real time. Tal pushed further, testing the cloaking array he had activated the day before. With a few adjustments, the ship shimmered and vanished from sight. Even the AI seemed impressed. "Human, your methods defy comprehension," it said. "Good," Tal replied. "I want them confused." He took the ship on a series of complex maneuvers, twisting and turning in ways the aliens considered impossible. The AI adapted with every move, learning, improving, and cooperating like a perfect partner. Sparks of energy shot along the hull as damaged sections flexed and adjusted, responding to Tal's commands. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Some of them whispered, "Human, this is clever. Too clever. How?" Others shook their heads. "This is impossible. No one could do this." But Tal only smiled. He didn't need their approval. He knew humans had a strength that aliens rarely understood: creativity. combined with courage. Rules did not limit them. Logic did not bind them. And persistence made the impossible happen. After hours of testing, Tal pushed the ship to its limits. It darted between docking bays, looped around massive vessels, and hovered effortlessly despite its damaged frame. Each movement was precise yet unpredictable, a perfect balance of human ingenuity and machine power. Then, without warning, alarms blared across the station. A fleet of hostile raiders appeared on the scanners, ships that had been hunting this sector for months. They were massive, armed with weapons far beyond the capabilities of ordinary defenders. Their goal was simple: destroy the station and claim whatever they could salvage. The aliens froze, unsure how to respond. "We are not equipped for this attack," one shouted. Tal's eyes narrowed. "Looks like we get our first real test," he said, gripping the controls. "Are you ready?" The AI hummed, calm but alert. "Human, we adapt." Tal nodded. "Good. Let's show them what humans can do." The raider fleet advanced, weapons glowing with deadly energy. Tal twisted the controls, darting the ship in sharp, unexpected movements. Lasers fired from hidden ports, striking enemy ships with precision. The AI calculated trajectories and adjusted shields in real time, compensating for the ship's damaged systems. The raiders, trained to expect conventional tactics, were confused by the ship's unpredictable movements. One of the alien commanders whispered, barely able to believe it. "The human, he moves like nothing we have ever seen." Tal pushed the ship higher, weaving through the fleet. The damaged thrusters groaned, but the AI compensated, firing bursts of energy to stabilize the vessel midair. Sparks flew along the hull, some panels bending under pressure, but Tal's hands never wavered. He activated the cloaking system mid-combat, vanishing from the raiders' sensors and reappearing behind them. Energy blasts from the ship disabled enemy engines, forcing raiders to collide or retreat. The aliens who had mocked him before were now silent, unable to comprehend the scale of human improvisation. "Human, you are remarkable," the AI said. Tal grinned. "Thanks, but don't forget, this is teamwork." Hours passed in a blur of combat and maneuvering. Tal's skill, combined with the AI's calculations, allowed the battered ship to survive against overwhelming odds. The raiders, confused and unable to predict the ship's movements, began to retreat. The station, once thought vulnerable, remained intact. The aliens, previously skeptical and dismissive, now looked at Tal and the ship with a mixture of fear, awe, and respect. A young alien engineer approached cautiously. "Human, how did you do this?" Tal shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. We worked together, me and the ship. Humans see possibilities, that's all." The AI pulsed softly, almost like it was smiling. "Human, we achieved what others could not imagine." Tal stepped out of the cockpit, his jumpsuit smeared with grease and sweat. He looked at the aliens, who had once mocked him in the ship, now standing in silence. "They said it was worthless," he said quietly, "but we proved them wrong. Not because we are perfect, but because we never give up." The aliens shifted uncomfortably, realizing they had underestimated humans. Tal did not boast. He only smiled faintly, turning back to the ship. Its systems hummed, stabilized but alive, ready for whatever came next. "Tomorrow," he said softly to the AI, "we see how far we can really push you." The AI responded, confident now, almost proud. "Human, together, we can exceed all limits." And in the heart of the scrapyard, surrounded by ships far more advanced and polished, the human mechanic and the worthless ship stood victorious, not by following rules, not by being perfect, but by using ingenuity, courage, and relentless persistence. The aliens had learned something important that day. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. Humans could take what others abandoned and make it extraordinary. Tal looked at the stars beyond the station, imagining the challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast, full of danger and opportunity, and with the ship by his side, he was ready to face it all. For the first time, both human and machine felt an unshakable truth. Together, they were unstoppable. The scrapyard was quiet after the chaos of the previous day. The raider fleet had retreated, leaving the station safe but scarred. Ships glimmered in the artificial sunlight, and the aliens who had once mocked Tal and his ship now watched from a distance, curiosity and unease written on their faces. Tal climbed out of the cockpit, stretching his arms. He had slept little and worked long hours, but his mind was already racing ahead. The ship, repaired and awakened, pulsed softly beside him. It had survived tests, battle, and countless dangers, all because Tal had believed in it when everyone else had given up. "We did good yesterday," Tal said softly to the AI. "But this is only the beginning. There will be more challenges." The AI's voice was calm, confident. "Human, I understand. Together we can overcome all threats." Tal nodded. "Good. Let's see if the station can handle another test." The aliens approached slowly, their movements cautious. One of their commanders, tall and polished, stepped forward. "Human," he said, "your methods, they exceed our calculations. You have proven that your species is capable." Tal tilted his head. "Thanks. But this isn't about proving anything. It's about surviving and thriving. That's what humans do." The commander frowned. "Yet, you fight differently. You improvise. Unpredictably. It is dangerous." Tal smiled faintly. Exactly. With the AI's guidance, Tal decided to push the ship further. Its systems were stable now, stronger than ever, but Tal knew that the galaxy held threats far greater than scrapped raiders. He ran final diagnostics on the weapons, shields, and engines. Each panel hummed with energy, glowing softly. The ship was ready. A sudden alert flashed across the scanners. Another raider fleet appeared, larger than the first, faster, and better armed. Their numbers were overwhelming. This time, the aliens looked genuinely worried. Their automated defenses were insufficient. If the humans did not act, the station would fall. Tal's eyes narrowed. "Looks like we have company. Ready?" "I am ready," the AI replied. The ship roared to life, engines glowing as Tal guided it out of the docking bay. Sparks and energy pulses followed, the AI stabilizing every system. The raiders advanced, weapons primed. Tal studied them carefully, then smiled. "They think they can predict us. Let's show them they can't." He pushed the ship forward, weaving through the enemy fleet. The AI fired weapons with perfect precision, targeting engines, shields, and weapon systems of the raiders. The ship moved unpredictably, dodging blasts and attacking from angles no one expected. The aliens watched in awe as the worthless ship became a whirlwind of energy and motion. It twisted, darted, and weaved with impossible agility. Its weapons fired in patterns no one had ever designed, destroying raider ships faster than the humans could count. "Impossible," one alien engineer whispered. "No one should be able to do that." Tal grinned. "Humans can." The battle escalated. The raiders adapted, coordinating their attacks. But Tal and the AI were faster, smarter. Improvised tactics, quick thinking, and fearless maneuvers kept the ship alive. They used hidden systems Tal had unlocked, cloaking bursts to confuse enemy sensors, energy pulses to disable engines, and rapid thruster shifts to dodge even the most precise weapons. Striking the hull, sparks flew, metal bent, and alarms blared. Tal's hands flew over the controls, adjusting shields, rerouting power, and compensating for damage. The AI responded instantly. "Human, they almost breach us." "I know," Tal replied, "but we adapt." "That's what we do." With a sudden movement, Tal maneuvered the ship behind a larger enemy vessel. Using the thrusters and energy pulses, he destabilized its engines. The raider spun out of control, crashing into another ship. Chaos spread through the enemy fleet as Tal's unpredictable tactics tore them apart. The aliens gasped. They fight like nothing we've ever seen, Tal laughed. Humans don't just follow rules, we create new ones. Minutes passed like hours. The battle was intense, but Tal and the AI adapted with every move. Even damaged panels and bent thrusters were used as advantages, shielding critical systems and confusing the enemy. The raider fleet, once confident, now retreated, their formations broken, engines destroyed, weapons disabled. Silence fell over the battlefield. The station was safe. Tal climbed out of the cockpit, exhausted but smiling. The AI pulsed, its lights glowing softly. Human, we succeeded. Together. Tal nodded. We did. And we did it our way. The aliens, now silent, approached slowly. The commander from before stepped forward. Human, your species is extraordinary. We underestimated. You fight differently and succeed, where we would fail. Tal shook his head. It's not about being stronger or faster. It's about never giving up, about thinking, adapting, and believing in what others discard. That's what humans do. The AI pulsed, adding its own note of agreement. Human I have learned. Humans are remarkable. For the first time, the aliens seemed to understand. They had relied on rigid systems, precise calculations, and predictable tactics. Humans relied on something else entirely: creativity, resilience, and determination, something that could not be measured, calculated, or predicted. Tal looked at the battered ship, now glowing softly with energy and life. We made it, he said, together, and we'll keep making it. No matter what comes next. The AI responded, confident now, almost proud. Human, together, we can face anything. The alien stepped back, silent. Their assumptions had been shattered. The small, patched-up ship they had called worthless had survived, thrived, and defeated an enemy they could barely understand. And the human who had guided it, simple, small, and underestimated, stood victorious. Tal climbed out of the cockpit fully, wiping grease from his hands. Remember, he said softly, addressing the watching aliens, sometimes what you call worthless is only waiting for someone to believe in it. And sometimes that belief can change everything. The AI pulsed again, its voice echoing softly through the scrapyard. Human, we are ready for the galaxy. Tal smiled faintly. Good, because the galaxy is waiting for us, and no one, not alien, not raider, will stop a human and a ship that refuses to give up. The scrapyard, once full of mockery and disbelief, now stood silent in awe. The worthless ship, patched, battered, and misunderstood, gleamed proudly in the artificial sunlight. And the human mechanic who had refused to abandon it walked beside it, a small figure with a mind that could outthink the galaxy itself. For the first time, everyone present, alien, human, and AI, understood something important. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. Humans could take what others abandoned and make it extraordinary. And sometimes that was enough to change the course of the stars. Tal looked up at the sky beyond the station. Ships flew past, stars shimmered, and the galaxy stretched endlessly before him. He turned to the AI, ready for the next adventure. The AI's lights pulsed steady and strong. With you. Tal laughed softly. Then let's go show the universe what humans can do. And as the sun set over the Ziran space station, the small human and the once worthless ship rose together, ready to face the challenges of the galaxy, proving that even in a universe of perfection and precision, there was one thing no one could calculate: the power of human ingenuity.